welcome back as we near the end of day one here for the Quake World Championship. We are getting ready to jump into our next matchup. Joining me once again here on the stage is, of course, Lethal and Flea. Sorry, no, sorry. I noticed I was kind of out of frame there a little bit. That was just call that my bad. Gentlemen, we just saw an amazing matchup there between Sparty and Sirius. That, of course, sets up this upcoming matchup, RAISY and Sirius. You might have said, wait, I thought it was going to happen right after. Yes, but they had to do picks and bans and get things set up, so that's in the process. We'll know that stuff very soon. But, gentlemen, welcome back. Did you get a chance to watch that last matchup? Quite an interesting game and series, and honestly, continuing the tradition of just showcasing some great Quake already here for day one.
Yeah, certainly did. I think I watched the majority of the series, and one of the notes I made about Sirius is that he's a momentum-based player with really strong tracking, and we saw that throughout the entirety of it. Like the rail accuracy, 68%, 58, 63 against even some of the light champions as well. And there's not something we really predicted because Sparty has been training his backside off massively over the last few weeks. And any single time you saw someone scrimming, Sparty would be in that scrim. He must have scrimmed at least 3-4 times a day, like at the bare minimum, considering the amount of practice he put in. So he's not going to be too happy about it. I'm sure he'll do, or at least progress through the losers bracket quite far to a certain degree. But Sirius really putting on a good show here.
Yeah.
I mean, Sirius initially kind of made his debut in Quake Champions right here, PGL 2018, where he surprised everyone, upstaged a lot of players, made it into top 8. I still remember some of the interviews then with Rafa, for example, saying, this kid, he's like a human aimbot. His aim it is absolutely unbelievable, and that's exactly what Lethal was just talking about. Excellent tracking. His LG and his railgun are second to none. And you could see it at the end of the previous matches, right? Every single map, it was like 50% LG, give or take, 65% rail. Consistently, that is nuts.
There is still one shot on Awoken that I will just think about for the next couple weeks where, you know, he predicted Sparty going up the jump pad, and his crosshair just was like, okay, he's there, and then immediately went to the middle of the jump pad, and then right as Sparty jumped, hit the... You know, it was serious business for sure. So, yeah, a great matchup indeed. We're going to now shift gears and move on to RAISY versus Sirius. We'll look at picks and bans and talk about these two players in just a moment. But RAISY, a player that we've all said, hey, this is someone who's got championship potential here. But let's hear from him as we sat down and talked with him about this previous season and, of course, the finals.
Hello, my name is Adrian Birgain. My in-game name is Maestro RAISY. I have been playing Quake Champions ever since 2017 the game came out. My favorite champions are the ones that have really interesting mobility, mainly the ones that are really fast, for example Anarchy and Clutch and Swordlag. Lately I've been using Slash a lot as well. I started to enjoy her as well. I learned how to move well with her, and I've been feeling like she is gonna be one of my favorite picks. My favorite weapon used to be the lightning gun, and I still enjoy it, but lately I have been focusing more so on using the railgun, and I have been very efficient with it, I feel like, so I started to like it a lot. I do enjoy pummeling people with the gauntlet, because that's fun. I've been looking forward to being on LAN again. While playing QPL online is nice and all, but the LAN feeling is just something else. And I was very happy that it is being held here in the PGL studios, because I have been here before in 2018, and I had really good experiences with the event. It would mean the world to me to finally be able to win one of the QPL seasons. I've been doing so well in most of them, and I've come so far and so close to ending up being first place, but unfortunately I've been only managing to get second places so far, so maybe this time. I feel like I'm quite happy with where I got positioned in the bracket. My first opponent is going to be the winner of Sparty versus Sirius, and from then on, if I manage to win against him, then I'll be playing against, for example, maybe Avec even, and Kilsen, because it could happen. And I have lost to both of them throughout this season, so hopefully this time I'll do better than that.
We were commenting that, you know, maybe his favorite weapon was going to be Gauntlet, but he didn't go there. He didn't go there, Flea. Yeah, and you know, RAISY, although getting second place in the pool of players that we have is still, that's not a thing you should be ashamed of on any level, but I understand the thirst for the championship.
I mean, I looked it up. RAISY has come second in 5 finals. 5 actual Quake Pro League finals. He came in second, including the most recent one, Season 2. He also ended up second place once again, losing to his teammate Wenger. So he really is due for that win, that championship to his name.
Yeah, the fact that he's been the bridesmaid that many times, it's just so demoralizing on so many occasions. It's like, how much more do I have to practice and grind? And it's, you know, before it was always Rafa, and then before that, it was actually after that, it was Wenger. So it's always someone who seems to be in his way at the final hurdle. But also at the same time, he always comes from the losers side. So it could be a stamina issue, but I would love to see RAISY, if he does make it that far, come for the winner's side and see how different he is in comparison.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that it says a lot, right? Like having a second life in this tournament is great, but you still know that, like, now I'm at the end of the plank and someone could easily boot me into the water and get eaten by the shark. So I understand, and yeah, maybe that could change someone's motivation, how they feel, their confidence level going into these matches. You just never know. Now, his opponent, certainly one who just impressed coming off of his last series versus Sparty. It was a 2-1, but was just a remarkable display of Quake skills across the board. And, you know, you mentioned Rafa described him as a human aimbot. I think that is pretty solid. How's he going to do versus an opponent like RAISY? Well, I can't wait to jump into it and talk a little bit about it. What do you think about Sirius?
Well, the fact that he's got such great combat skills is something which RAISY needs to take a huge element of caution in. And even at a KingCon event, I believe Sirius did defeat Maxter in the final of that, and that wasn't too long ago. So it's not that he's scared of LAN experience at all and he's not familiar with anything. The fact that he took down Maxter, who's technically a top 8 player in this league, and managed to take him down, it's not something, I think it's something which has been overshadowed coming into this tournament.
Just a few days ago, I managed to catch RAISY play Tox on stream, right? And Tox is a player with a similar skill set when it comes to aiming as Sirius does. And in the end, RAISY was really talking about it as in, this was so different from finding anyone else in the Quake Pro League, because fights that I would normally just win with ease, I now have to approach with extreme caution because I just know how much it's going to hurt. Sirius is going to be no different.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. There's these elements of like, I don't quite understand my player, I have to adapt to them, but then when your player has such a strong aim fundamental in the game, and frankly, I think approaches things in his own unique way, right? One example that we were talking about during that matchup was Awoken, where he decided to spend that 3 minutes just guarding rail and keeping it out of his opponent's hand. Like, he identified that with Sparty as being a reason why Sparty was able to claw back and potentially take a game. So, right, how will that affect his approach on RAISY? I don't have the answer to that, but I have a feeling we might figure it out in this matchup. So it sounds like picks and bans are ready. So let's check things out because I'm very curious. So Deep Embrace, chosen by RAISY, Awoken by Sirius, and I'm not surprised to see that one. And then finally, if we need to go there, it's going to be Corrupted Keep. Now we also have our champion picks and bans. You want to take a look at those and tell us what you think. I mean, one thing to note is that obviously RAISY said, "Hey, this Slash character is like pretty great. I might like start playing a little bit more." Well, there you go. Chosen there right off the bat as we see versus the Ranger. But any thoughts on our champ picks?
Yeah, he was playing Slash as a bit of a meme on stream for like a long time, just playing everyone and every map on with this champion. But instead, he's actually decided and thought to himself, "Oh, do you know what? It's actually pretty damn good." It's the map picks which kind of give me a bit of a question mark, and I find quite interesting. Is RAISY statistically has not been that great on Deep Embrace overall, but then again, his best map is Awoken, but Sirius has selected it for him here. So could it be curtains already? Early days, we'll have to see. But going on to Corrupted Keep right at the very end, very meta, you can see with the BJ versus the Galena, so that'll be an interesting matchup in itself. So yeah, very an unusual map selection going into this, considering that the first 2 map picks that RAISY's going to be happy with, but still then again, statistically not the greatest on Deep Embrace, and Sirius selecting Woken for him anyway, which is passing. But he's also equally as good, so it might just show a huge amount of confidence going to Sirius.
Oh yeah.
Also worth pointing out again, Death Knight being banned by RAISY, right? Just a few stages ago, Death Knight was essentially a joke pick. You wouldn't pick him unless you absolutely had to. And now players are actively choosing him multiple times, plus taking them away from their opponents. So that just shows how much that character has evolved. Now, other than that, indeed, RAISY picking Slash on Deep Embrace. We were talking about this actually before we went live. RAISY was talking about picking Slash, and people were kind of joking about Deep Embrace, but Slash has become a pretty common pick on this map.
Yeah.
People have been making her work, and I think that RAISY's once again going to show what she's capable of.
Yeah, I think using the speed, and it kind of RAISY's discussion on that was interesting because, right, not everyone played Quake 4, not everyone was acclimated to crouch sliding mechanics, so I could understand why that might not be a character if it's sort of a movement style that you're not necessarily used to. But here we are going to see it, and then up against the Razor. So I do think one thing that is interesting is that BJ kind of took a vacation during Season 3 a little bit. We did see a few picks of BJ on Corrupted Keep. We saw it lots more in the previous season, but being here on LAN, you know, knowing the potential burst that you can get, I'm not surprised to see these BJ picks sprinkled in.
Yeah, considering what the players have said, like compared to what it is in a LAN environment now back to online, and realizing that BJ is even more of an influence to kind of encourage you to select him instead makes perfect sense. So going to Corrupted Keep, he's hoping to seal the deal if he can, if it does go to that final map. And potentially it could, but the problem is those first two maps is a doozy. Why has RAISY selected Deep Embrace when it's statistically not his best map? And Sirius has just shown so much confidence selecting RAISY's, or one of his best maps statistically as well. So I really don't know how this is going to go. I do feel like RAISY should have the upper hand no matter what, but I'm just really scared of Sirius's aim skill. I know he makes some big brain plays here and there, but his aim skill alone just packs it up so hard.
Yeah.
Wheat, gonna ask you.
He's been waiting for it.
He's been waiting for it, but DJ Wheat, I have to ask you for a prediction, my good friend.
You know what? I am happy to make a prediction here. You know, I first off really impressed by Sirius, but the thing that I have to consider here is that, you know, RAISY is hungry.
Right.
You mentioned 5 second places. That's still amazing, right? That is phenomenal. But I have to imagine seeing the work that was going in prior to this, the scrims that we were seeing, the dedication that RAISY was having to, you know, some of the unique ways that he was playing through, like no ability, this character only, these types of things. You know, maybe this will be the tournament in which he truly turns it around. He's got to get through an incredibly difficult opponent, but I'm going to throw my weight into RAISY's corner, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this is going to be a 2-0 for RAISY.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I might actually say 2-0 because aim skill alone is great, but when you're against a player with so much dueling experience now and got such great adaptation across the board, it's like I said, aim skill's great, but some of the big brain plays that RAISY makes again and again and time to time, he knows exactly, he has the perfect balance of that offensive-defensive balance, which is going to throw Sirius off from time to time. Yeah, sure, he may keep the scores respectable, but I don't think he will take him out.
Yep.
I'm going to agree with the two of you. I think 2-0 for RAISY. Sirius is an incredible player, but his aim is such a key part of his game, and we all know that when it comes down to mental fortitude, if things start going the wrong way, Sirius tends to tilt a bit, right? He's prone to letting his emotions get in the way of himself, whereas RAISY is an emotionless robot, so I'm going to give it to him.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I could help you with your prediction there, Flea, and I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you, Wheat.
Cheers, we appreciate that, mate, as we're going to get into this first map between RAISY and Sirius, starting off from RAISY's POV, just taking it a little bit slow here. He's only got the LG in his arsenal, but I'm sure it's going to increase, but of course, just biding his time for now. Has the heavy machine gun, he wants to do a little bit of damage instead of the rail anyway, depending on its strafe pattern. And yeah, this is a very slow start from RAISY. He's obviously picked up on what shenanigans was Sirius was doing previously. But yeah, Sirius does pick up that heavy, and RAISY does pick up the mega for now.
Both players off to a very slow, calculated opening. Respectful of one another. RAISY knows exactly what Sirius is capable of with any weapon in his hands. Now both players, of course, spawning on opposite side of the map, meaning that RAISY starts off with the LG and Sirius can take Rail and perhaps even Rockets. Now RAISY sneaking into Sirius's base without making any noise whatsoever, will eventually give away his position, but not without getting a Rockets and a Rail for 3. Meanwhile, Sirius still sitting pretty in that exact same spot, lacking the lightning gun, which is, of course, the weapon that he's most known for.
Of course, RAISY knows when your opponent's already around that heavy area, it's very difficult to try and contest, especially with the height and the close quarters area he's in, just waiting for RAISY or daring him to try and come across. But if he gives him more and more of his chip damage, then it's going to be a huge opening here and sound alarm bells for Sirius as RAISY will just dive on in. But slowly but surely he's able to get through. Man's hit the first one, backs away straight away just to throw him off guard a bit. And that was huge. Hits the second one straight afterwards. And this is what I'm talking about. Some of these big plays will be huge for RAISY, considering the aim's good. No matter how good it is, almost taken down in the end. But Sirius will get cleaned up as RAISY's left on 16 HP at the time.
RAISY taking far more damage than he had bargained for. Somehow Sirius was able to avoid most of that shotgun damage, picking up a few health bubbles here and there to keep himself alive. And because of that, RAISY was unable to get control of both of the items, has to concern himself with just the heavy, while Sirius got a pretty convenient spawn near the Mega. But here we go, another fight opens up. Sirius getting bounced clean into the air, and RAISY once more finishing it off with the shoddy.
Certainly has done, and you can see RAISY's just trying to make Sirius feel as uncomfortable as possible, just to, not just in terms of what decision he should make, but it will affect his aim skill a little bit also. Nice 41 from that last try bolt, a further 35 to add to the tally. Again, just dancing around top mid to see what Sirius is going to do first. But Sirius isn't taking the bait right now. Mega's up in the next 7 seconds, but then again, so is the heavy, as RAISY now pushing it in with the LG. Would have had to clean up though, looking very strong indeed. Sirius will get taken down once again, and RAISY already up 3-0 in this map.
And you just know that this is not how Sirius wants to play these matches, right? And that's exactly why RAISY is approaching it like this. Constantly keeping his distance, staying clear from that murderous LG range, and just baiting Sirius out into these very awkward, uncomfortable fights that RAISY knows that he can just play the way he wants to, and Sirius is likely to kind of get a little flustered, start making mistakes. And now, before you know it, Lethal, we blinked and it's a 6-0 lead.
Absolutely incredible. This is like a different tier on itself already. And I did actually make a note before with Sirius. Like, one of the main things, it just must not tilt. It's easier said than done. We know a lot of players completely change their ways when their mentality is thrown out the window entirely. But it looks like he's still chilling a little bit and just trying to find his footing in this matchup here. But RAISY's just kind of feel like he's already got his number, considering the start he's had, just trying to throw him off a little bit, not just to the champion pick, but just in general with how he's making his rotations and changing up his pattern at all times. Sirius is so weak. He's actually missed the jump for the heavy, but it looks like he's just going to orb up and try and grab that. Eventually it does. Delayed it just by a few seconds. It might throw RAISY off depending on the circumstances here, but Sirius does have top mid control.
I like what RAISY was going for there. First jumping up to the heavy with the plasma trail, then dropping right back down, just making it so that Sirius couldn't take that item first. But then unfortunately RAISY missed that jump back up and had to give up the item. Not that it'll bother him too much. He's still looking very healthy, plus has a considerable lead over his opponent as we are approaching the halfway point of this map.
Yeah, there's been a couple of occasions where RAISY was knocking on death's door as Sirius just could not clean up at all in the slightest. Not the best of rockets here from RAISY, just to put a little bit of pressure down. He did about 61 total there from the two rockets, did some damage, but that last rocket will definitely give him the opportunity to try close up his 7th frag, but that tri-bot will do some additional damage there. Just waiting for this heavy, has the advantage, but oh, he's just waiting to see if he's going to fall for it. He does not, as RAISY just down his grandma. Sirius still manages to take him out, get that first frag, and still got 4.5 minutes of play, so Sirius does have time to come back in this matchup.
I like the aggression that Sirius showed right there, going for the rocket jump to try and make his way over to Mega on time. Unfortunately for him, RAISY, of course, playing Slash, got there first. But still, I like that Sirius was immediately ready to go and apply pressure. Now going up this bounce pad without the orb at the ready, that is something he should not do. Fortunately, he does reconsider. Loops back around, sets up for the Mega instead. Now Deep Embrace still is a pretty small map. Yes, he is outmaneuvered by Slash, but small arena. 5 frags in 4 minutes, perfectly doable. Doesn't have to rush himself, especially if he can get this one, and he can. Beautiful rocket. Picks up a small armor, nice opening rail. This is so good for Sirius.
Oh, great read as well. Heavy will be up in the next few seconds. Not going to go for it as of yet. Just going to see what Raisy's going to do first. That was an important rail to hit. Sadly, he just barely misses it to add that third frag to his name. But still, though, continue to put this pressure on. You could see Razi was suffocating him so much, but Sirius couldn't really get going. He couldn't really push his own style of play. Razi just forced him to make him play his own, but it seems like Sirius now has got a bit more room to breathe. You can see he's a bit more himself now in terms of his character in game. Still got about 3 minutes left, but it's like you said, it's a very small map. 4 frags is definitely doable, but these frags need to be clean and avoid being traded out.
Both items picked up at the exact same time. That's not what Sirius was hoping for. This benefits RAISY considerably, because to mount a comeback like this, you really want full control and be able to cycle both of these items, and in between picking them up, go hunt for your opponents. But now that they're tied, Sirius is not at liberty to do so. We'll actually trade a frag here that is again just going to benefit RAISY, because all that does is bring us closer to that 10-minute mark.
Certainly does indeed. Any way to waste time, Raisy's going to be all for it. He has a bit of a feeling he's biting that pillow, at least around top mid, but just Razi just making sure to not give too many reads. Hits that first rail, beautiful stuff from Sirius, just to add a bit of damage and force him away. Heavy's up in the next 10 seconds. As Razi does have time to try and contest it if he likes. He's going to assume that Sirius is going to be around the proximity of the Heavy. Looking to back away, but Razi now already on guard here on top of his Heavy, looking to see if he can get a bit more done. Not as of yet, but this is the problem for Sirius now. Razi's in the position with the items segregated so much in terms of time. He can go back and forth for these items as Razi's to continue to hold top mid, waiting for Sirius to progress onto that Mega. We'll have to give it away for free after that first missed rail. And, oh, again, good rocket there as he's backing away once more. But this is a problem, you see. Sirius now needs to be overly aggressive, take a lot more risk, because there isn't really much time left for him to kind of make these methodical plays.
True. 90 seconds, 4 frags. All the pressure is now on him. He's got to find RAISY, but RAISY, we know that he can slow any game down to a crawl. He can turn himself invisible on these maps and just run down the clock, and I think that that's exactly what he's going to do. And now Sirius has to make really difficult decisions, right? Does he even go for the Mega? It's his, it's free to take, but he knows that doing so will cost him yet another 10 seconds that he will have to waste not being able to chase RAISY. But then you end up with situations like this where he doesn't go for the Mega and ends up without the stack needed to actually get the kill. And I think that there would be the final nail in the coffin, and that RAISY is comfortably going to walk away with a map 1 win.
That's literally going to be it as Razi makes quick work of Sirius. Nicely done there with the LG as he went flying high. And yeah. Oh, okay. Make it a second time. Why not? Why not? Pretty much kite flying at this point. And yeah, you can see from Razi, he just made him feel really uncomfortable from the start because Sirius wasn't too sure where to look, where to go. And I think before in the previous matchup against Sparty, he had all the info he required in order to continue pursuing that aggression again and again and again. But Razi is the complete opposite effect. He's not giving him any angles, any clue what he's doing. And anytime Razi does come out really strong and just hyper aggressive, he's got a full stack advantage. And of course, he's going to take that every single time, trying to go for the gauntlet, but not going to happen here. But 10 frag deficit, there you go, as the first map will be going in favor of Razi. Make that 11.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about just a few minutes into the match, right? Razi knows exactly how to counter this playstyle. He's had the practice against Tox, right? A similar aimer to Sirius as we discussed before this match started. And he is just able to dismantle that playstyle. He knows what Sirius wants is constant aggression. Right up your face, or up in your face rather, with the LG, tons of damage coming out. So what does Razi do? Stay as far away as possible as he can, steer clear from his opponent. He says, I know that you're going to get antsy. if I slow this down and you don't see me for 2 minutes, you are going to want to push and you're going to start making mistakes. So what RAISY does is just play to his own strengths, sitting there back emotionlessly waiting and just baiting Sirius into jumping out into the middle of the map and taking him in these uncomfortable fights, like you said, making it extremely awkward for Sirius to do anything, and that ultimately worked beautifully for RAISY.
Yeah, you can see that Sirius is getting the heebie-jeebies a little bit. He was so tempted to push him in any way, shape or form. But the thing is that, again, it was the lack of info, just how he pursued at the very beginning, just almost walking towards the health bubble outside the heavy across top mid, and then eventually jumping out with that first rail, just doing anything just to mess with his brain in more ways than one. And no, I'm worried now because, like I said, this was statistically one of the worst maps for RAISY, but now we're going on to RAISY's best map. But Sirius also selected this map for a reason, so he's obviously very confident going into this second map. But is it going to be a 2-0 sweep? The potential is there, looking like how RAISY performed so far. But yeah, the plays RAISY was making was just phenomenal. That's why he's one of the players and the top tier players here coming to the championships, but also one of the favourites to win the competition.
Look at these statistics. 70% railgun for RAISY, 44% LG for RAISY, out-damaging and out-aiming Sirius with the two weapons that he holds dearest. And that is exactly the result of that playstyle, making it uncomfortable for Sirius, always putting him into these awkward fights that he does not want to be in. So I'm curious how map 2 is going to start off, because previous map, it was so strange, the opening. It was almost as if I was watching one of those tactical FPS, right? RAISY just crouched walked all the way across the map, didn't even pick up railgun, just stood there for a moment, completely throwing Sirius off his guard and then moving it from there. So map 2 is going to be Awoken, very different beast. In terms of playstyle, honestly not that different to Deep Embrace, like similar art style as well, but also relatively small maps, the both of them. But it's the champions that are different, right? Anarchy versus Nyx, two lights.
Yeah, I love how you compared it to a tactical FPS at the very beginning. We don't like those. You know, Quake's 10 times better anyway. This is why we're here, actually.
True.
In all fairness, but yeah, two light champions. This has got a lot of potential to be a high fragging game, depending on the circumstances. It could just be in RAISY's favour, or it could be quite a close affair. We'll have to see. But it's like I said before, once someone's forcing their style onto you and you start to feel really uncomfortable, it's not the fact that he did it for 30 seconds or a couple of minutes. It was literally like 8 or 9 minutes of the game. There's only one moment where I saw a bit of flair coming out from Sirius, where he was like, right, okay, you know, let's make this comeback. Let's try and at least stop trailing behind by so many frags in terms of deficit. But no, RAISY was like, no, it's fine. I'm just going to whack you with a 70% rail. And with a slash as well. That's not an easy task in itself.
It absolutely is not. Now, with that being said, we are loading into map 2, Awoken. Anarchy will be played by RAISY, right? So he's got that injection, give himself that health top-up, plus the air control to work with, whereas Sirius is using Nyx. And Nyx, she's got the Ghost Walk, very powerful aggressive tool, but also useful defensively to get out of sticky situations, and the passive, the wall jump, which essentially is a double jump in many of the situations on this map, especially around that center area where you can make such good use out of that ability.
Certainly does indeed, but let's see if RAISY's going to make quick work of this series and make it a 2-0 victory, or Sirius can make some kind of comeback here and take us to a third and final map in this winner's bracket. So we start things off from Sirius to see exactly what he's going to be up to. And it's quite interesting as well. Both these players will be fighting for the hourglasses on multiple occasions, depending on what pattern and rotation they're going to make. Sirius with an early stack advantage here. It's just a matter of how he's going to use it to its full potential.
RAISY still lacking the LG, doesn't have the rockets yet. Sirius, no doubt aware of this, wants to zone RAISY out. Knowing that his opponent only has a railgun to work with, that opens up a lot of interesting engagements. Now he's trying to bait RAISY out. Oh, he came so close to doing a lot of damage with that opening tri-bolt shot, but RAISY stuck far enough back to avoid it.
Certainly did indeed. It's going to be another slow-paced game, another game of chess at this point. The Sirius is waiting for RAISY just to come out of his tents in that rail room and just come towards him in any way.
I like that Sirius is adapting the same strategy. He realizes what RAISY is doing, and instead of playing into it, he just mimics it, slowly crouch walking around the sides of the map, hoping to get an angle, which indeed he did. Now RAISY, I think, did secure the LG in that one. Yep, still lacking the rockets, but finally managed to still stack out his arsenal a little further. But Sirius is doing a good job at countering RAISY so far.
Certainly has done. If you can't beat his game, just play his own game. That's literally what he's been doing. Just it's working out for him so far. As you can see, RAISY knew he was top mid. It's just a matter of which way he was going to peek from. Chose correctly. It's backed away again. But it's interesting seeing the slow start from Sirius. I'm actually surprised Sirius is playing the exact same game, but I think he's been forced into a position where he has no choice, and this is where he's going to have to strongly adapt, which is going to be a question mark, especially at the later stage of this map. But so far, so good. But this is what exactly happened on the first map. I remember RAISY, as he was getting a little bit more comfortable and confident in his setting, he was able to run away with it. Sirius, of course, recognised that instantly and doesn't want the same thing to happen again. No players heavily segregating the timing at all in the slightest. And we're going to see what Sirius is going to do now continuing forward.
I think Sirius is going to want to flip the items. He wants Heavy rather than Mega for two reasons. One, they're light champions. Heavy is always going to matter more since they don't spawn with any sort of armor to begin with. And secondly, RAISY is playing as Anarchy, so he can essentially top himself up, overstack on Mega regardless. So you definitely don't want him to be the one to have Heavy. If you can give him Mega, his ability essentially becomes a lot less useful. So Sirius really wants to flip this, secure Heavy for himself, but so far RAISY has been able to deny that nicely.
Yeah, I think this is probably the slowest Awoken game I've seen probably all season so far.
Could
but
be.
This means a lot for both of these players. Of course, neither player wants to drop into the losers bracket, considering how well all of these players have been performing all day long. Literally a death pit into loser bracket so far, considering what we've seen from the performances there. But that was such great LG. The one mistake almost cost him here, and that means he's going to get both of the items, and that's going to be, again, ringing alarm bells for RAISY to try and push on forward and trap Sirius down, and he has done 10 HP. This should be the last frag here, as RAISY just trying to clean up, finally does it in the end. Took a while, but, you know, it's one of the situations where at least he managed to get it, no matter how long it took. So 4 minutes in, 1-0 lead in favor of RAISY.
Pretty sure Sirius was saved by that pillar there too. I think he would have been pushed out of the map by RAISY's LG there. Luckily for him, there was a pillar behind, but he was unable to make his mistake. He might have been able to use the Ghost Walk to get out, but chose not to. And now RAISY getting by solely because of a stack advantage. If they were on equal stacks, Sirius would have absolutely won that one, but now RAISY is starting to string together a few of these kills. He is weak, he is low. Sirius, if he can find him, might be able to secure a frag. Problem right now is his weaponry. No LG, and up until a second ago, no railgun either.
And we spoke about this earlier as well. No matter when he gets that first frag, that's when it's going to spiral out of control, and it looks like that's instantly happened. Taking full advantage with the full item control and the mapping on top of things. So for Sirius, it's going to be a question of how he's going to try and bring this back from a calculated perspective. It was fine before, but he can't do what he did before, where he was playing quite passive and trying to wait for a mistake to come to him, because it's just not going to happen. But it does get traded out, and also means that RAISY's not going to have the huge stack he had beforehand. So it might be technically a win for Sirius, but RAISY straight on him with the rockets to make it 6-1.
Also can't help but feel that Sirius is being perhaps a little too conservative with that ability of his. He's barely used it at all lethal, and that one time that he did, it amounted to very little, because RAISY still beat him to that small armor pickup. Now they happen to trade frags, but RAISY, beautiful mid-air rocket extending his lead, and Sirius now left struggling for dear life. RAISY, sneaky little drop down, one rail into a shotgun won't be enough to clean it up. And Sirius bleeding frags ever more, won't be able to secure that Mega either. RAISY now just starting to run both of the majors. This is where it becomes dire for Sirius.
It's crazy how that one instance when he got caught off guard with the LG when he was placed above Heavy has caused this scoreline and this fiasco. And this is what happens. The one time RAISY got full item control and just swinging it back and forth, and that's where it's literally just become out of control, and Sirius just can't contend with it at all. 3 minutes and 45 seconds left for Sirius to try and close the gap with that 8 frag deficit, but it's not looking likely at the moment. With RAISY, I don't think he's the sort of person going to give away such a huge lead throughout this time scale. If anything, just going to continue piling on the pressure. Or maybe get a golden kill. But that was a lovely rail there from Sis. Could be a style or something, but it's like I said, time is of the essence.
Excellent rail. Through the glorious hole near the heavy. Now Mega. Next major item that's up. Sirius will be able to secure that one. But RAISY, once again, proving so difficult to catch. Anarchy, one of the fastest, most mobile champions in the entire game. Sirius, of course. Nyx, still a very versatile champion. We've seen people talk about him in their interviews, right? Several people have said that Nyx is their favorite champ just because of how flexible and how versatile she is to throw your opponent off. But RAISY is just so experienced at playing around that. Sirius is struggling. I don't know how he can do this unless he starts hitting every single rail, which he's very well capable of, but he has to make it happen now.
We've seen it before, but I don't think RAISY is just going to give him the opportunity. Just going to keep his distance, and that's what he's doing. And every time he keeps his distance, he's always getting first shot. Don't get me wrong, Sirius managed to get it then, but these frags aren't the cleanest, are they? Every time Sirius makes that recovery rotation across the map, that's more time added and more time wasted. But it has to be done. He can't fight on such low HP. He's literally on top of him at that stage. He's going to push on forward anyway, but RAISY will finally get the frag and increase his lead.
Now what do you do when you're Sirius in this situation? 7 frags down. Bordering on the impossible now, knowing just how strong RAISY is. As you said, one of the biggest issues is that Sirius has been able to secure a few frags, yes, but they've never been clean. They've never allowed him to just start stringing kill after kill together or getting a consistent grasp of the major items. And in doing so, RAISY was slowly able to start challenging him off the respawn and steal away one of those items and get a frag as well. And I think that at this point, Lethal, it's over and done. 90 seconds, it's just not gonna happen anymore, I feel like.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it was done pretty much a couple of minutes ago. Definitely out the realms of possibility now. But RAISY just putting on a show. But I said this before the series as well. You can have all the aim skill in the world, but when you've got such strong adaptation, witnessing how to play against someone like Sirius, where he's a very accurate player, he's got very strong tracking, he's a momentum-based player. But him being that momentum-based player, once you're literally just suffocating him and putting so much pressure on, that's where you can tilt a little bit and go, well, what do I do next? What do I need to do in order to try and bring this back? And he's had a few ideas left and right, but it's just not worked out for him, sadly. So some of this did not pay off, but it's like we mentioned before in this map, that one instance where he was thinking about dropping down as he was above that heavy and just took so much LG damage. And as soon as RAISY was going back and forth, getting full item and map control, that was it. That was game over from then. That was the one instance which cost Sirius this map.
And he was doing so well up until that point too, right? He was really mimicking RAISY's playstyle, not making any mistakes, but that one little slip-up sent everything spiraling downwards. Now, of course, this is still the upper bracket, right? So let's keep in mind, Sirius remains in the tournament. He still has a shot at making it further than this, but looking a little dire after this one, and I think that any other player watching this might take a page out of RAISY's book and try to do the same when they have to go up against Sirius next.
Yeah, it's don't get me wrong, it's going to take a few years of hard work
and
a massive grind, but do you know what, it's not an overnight success, as we already know, as RAISY's been here for quite a few years now, and it looking like to try and, you know, he's had enough in second places now. He wants to give it a vote. He might want a first, maybe a third. I don't know. We'll see what happens as the weekend goes. But yeah, it was a shame for Sirius. I was going to say I look forward to see how he does in the losers bracket, but you have to worry about everyone in the losers bracket. And yeah, welcome back. Wait.
Thanks. You're welcome, by the way. No, actually, agree about Sirius, right? Anyone that's going to go up against Sirius in the lower, watch yourself. But also, you know, RAISY looks fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, real good. Was impressed with both of those maps, especially Deep Embrace. Again, we talked about that. That's not necessarily a map that we've seen him favor and talk about, like, oh, I love this, but looked super comfortable on it. Was also, you know, would play a position, right? Whether it was in the middle or it was over near the heavy, and was content doing that, but still maintaining control somehow. Just looked like a RAISY that's tired of second place and wants to win a championship.
Yeah, it sure does. Now, for all our underage viewers, that was freaking good.
Yep.
That we've just said right
Did
there.
I
So
just say that?
something like that.
Well,
Something
I
like that.
felt like
don't remember.
I felt like I censored myself there a little bit, but you know.
Nah, but like let's just take a look at the statistics, right? Sirius did manage to turn it around on map 2. You could tell that he was a lot more comfortable, at least for the first half of the map, right? On map 1,
Yeah.
RAISY dominated him in terms of aim as well, just because it was so awkward for him. But map 2, Sirius was getting into the groove of things a little bit more, but ultimately still wasn't enough, especially in that second half.
Yeah, also I did point out what those first 5 frags, right? LG, 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 shotgun, shotgun, shotgun.
Yep.
Like we were even commenting in the back that, I said I think that RAISY is right now one of the best in terms of being really smart about weapon selection, right? Whether
Yeah.
that's cleanup or that's just I'm going into this battle, I have the right weapon out. I'm not going to let you gain any ground there. So, well done. I'm excited to
Absolutely.
see more out of him. So, well, that's going to be yet another match coming up next. Waited till kind of the end of the day, but Rafa is going to be going up against someone who he's played in the past many times as well. It's Legacy versus Legacy, although returning Legacy in this case. It's going to be Rafa versus Toxic. It's coming up next, so don't go away. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, more action after this.